Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Well, today we have some interesting questions, both humorous and analytical. So I'm going to not waste any time and we're going to go straight into it. The first question is from Qis, and Qis asks, if I have the same incarnation cross as Hitler, does that make me evil? Hitler was a 5-1 left-angle cross of wishes, splenic manifester. Definitely rare to me anyway, but I assume his wishes for the collective manifested via the pulsing of his root chakra via the spleen. Interesting. I think Putin has it as well. I'm also a left-angle cross of wishes, but an MG with the channel of mutation, channel of the beat, and channel of inspiration. I wonder if my design contradicts itself, even though I am a single definition. 14-2 channel wanting to respond, 8-1 channel needs to be invited, while the 360 pulses on its own time. I have intentionally and unintentionally penetrated many with almost always good intention, but never perfect, and 100% created lots of destabilization and chaos. Haha. Anyway, thank you once again for your insightful wisdom. I'm aware you have the 360 also. Okay, Qis. Well, since you've announced to me that you're evil and that you have the same cross as Hitler, I'll be sending the relevant authorities around to put you away before you become a dictator. However, seriously, there is a huge difference between you and Hitler. And here we see the two charts. As you say, we have a Hitler as a splenic manifested, and it is quite rare. It's this pressure from the root to really make things better, to improve things, to clean things up, to purge things, to make things better for everyone. And certainly Hitler had that in him, despite the fact that he went about it through war. But you can see the fighter is also there in him. And we've got the channel of the brainwave there with his intuition in the moment. And he's also an alpha, so designed to lead, and people around him designed to follow if he puts it out strongly enough, which he did. So, you know, you and Hitler have very, very different designs. You know, from what you've told me, you're a pure individual with the 360, the 14-2, and the 1-8. Very different. So let's first of all look and see what it's all about in terms of the Incarnation Cross. There are 192 generic Incarnation Crosses possible. And we all come into this incarnation on one of these crosses, you know, to live out the cross one way or the other, not self or true self. And this is what happens. Personally, I am very fond of the left angle cross of the wishes, because it is in fact the left angle to my right angle cross of the laws. And it's a generic cross. In other words, each of these headlines in terms of the crosses will be lived out through what is in the design. As you, very individual, as Hitler, not so much. So it's not about being evil. It's really about the wishing for a better future. The understanding that some of the laws do not apply in the current time and they need to be changed. You have the expectation in the 41 that really can imagine a better future, a more vibrant future, a more exciting future. And you've got the 31 there, which contains leadership, contains the voice of the leader, the voice of influence that speaks in a reasonable or unreasonable way, but basically in a way to represent the people, or in Hitler's case, to talk about the fatherland, and that, you know, the purity of the race, etc. It makes sense from his point of view, because after all, he has the channel of judgment, and he does want to clean things up, or he did want to clean things up in his own way, in his own mind, as ruthless as it was. And 5-1s, you know, they are edgy. They are here to be heretical, to go against the stream, no matter what the rest of the world is focused on. So in that sense, you also have that in you because of the wishes, not the cleaning up, but you have the, look, can't we live in a better way? Isn't there a better way that we can bring a better future? Remember, the 31 is talking about the future. And what do we need to do? We need to change some of the old laws. Those laws don't apply. So when you've got the gate of the laws, the gate of values, the 50th gate, and you've got mutation in there, you know, it's something to want to challenge the laws. There is challenge both in Hitler's way in terms of challenging authority, but also in all cross of wishes, to want to challenge the way that things are going, because you can imagine a better future, or you think he can, or he thought he could. So it's not about being evil. It's about really seeing there is another way. And quite frankly, I really love the left angle cross of wishes. I have a good friend that also has the left angle cross of wishes, and is also a 5-1, and he's a mythologist. His name is Martin Shaw. So if you put Martin Shaw mythologist into YouTube, you'll see a man in a hat with a big beard talking the most eloquent language about myth and about the lessons we can learn from it, the life lessons we can learn from it, in order to wake us up to some of the deep wisdom that is in the old stories. I regard him as a very good man, and he's done some fantastic work in his time, not just with story, but also with young people, to try and help them in their life. So it's actually, I see it as a very positive cross. I don't see it as evil at all. It is the framework, one of 192, but each one of us is different. Your second question regarding, is there a contradiction in me? Because you have the generator channels of the 3 and the 60, and the 14 and the 2. And then you've got a projector channel in terms of the 1-8, in terms of your unique expression, your ability to present in a unique way to others. So in that sense, you know, you are highly mutative, and the 14-2 is there to change people's direction. And the 360 that you rightly say I have in me as well brings a certain amount of chaos, brings a certain amount of mutation to bring something into a new order. What needs to be changed? Where is the fertility? Where are we stagnant? And then there is this impulse to bring something new out, and always needing the new in some way or another. You know, it's part of the reason why I say, you know, I'll see you next week with something completely different. I love the different. I love the new. It's in me. It's in you. But there is no contradiction. You know, you're purely individual. There are times when you should zip it and not say anything, basically. You know, there are times when it has to be invited out. When someone says, you know, what do you think? Or how would you do it? Then the voice comes out and say, well, I would do it this way. I would attract attention to this worthy cause, or this beautiful art, or whatever it may be. My own self-expression in the first gate coming out in a unique way, and often a humorous way. Always bearing in mind the 5th line is going to bring its own edge, is going to go against tradition, is going to go against the general view of the world, because after all, it is the 5th line's way to be transpersonal, to be a stranger of consequence, and to help people, you know, to actually, 5-1s really are so transpersonal. It amazes me some of the things that they can say that I would never think of in relationship to other people, especially in times of crisis. It's a very influential cross, and it's a very influential profile. But there's no contradiction. Most of us have projector channels. There are more projector channels than any other channels in the entire body graph. So to have a mix is very normal. There is no contradiction. You are here to be a disturbing and a creative force, and with the best of intentions. And I'm sure you have the best of intentions when dealing with others. But yeah, you're gonna wind them up. You're going to get them to think about their lives in a different way. I mean, I'm sure you're doing that with human design right now. And some people will get it and some people won't get it. And you and I know the power of human design and the positive effect it can have on one's life. Remember, there's always the messenger in the fifth line as well. So you carry a message to deliver to the people in your own unique way that will be different from the collective. And that's your job. And that's what you're doing. And it isn't evil. Quite the contrary. It can be incredibly empowering to help people into themselves, in your case, to help them to the higher knowing that they can get to through the knowledge that you have, through the practicality that you can offer them. Okay, so hopefully we've cleared that one up, Hughes. I hope you enjoyed that little chance to do a bit more analytical work on this program. Thank you. And our next question is from Being Me 85. And their question is, hello, I would like to ask a question related to my authority. I'm an emotional projector, a 4-6 profile. I have the channel 4037, all conscious, and it is my Sun Earth. I have one more channel, the 1020, 10 conscious and unconscious 20. My emotional wave is bringing me a lot of information, but how do I know not to confuse my emotion with my thoughts, the 4037 being all conscious? And they then give me some details of the chart, which I will put up for you all to see. There are no other gates in the solar plex apart from the 37. So thank you for the question. The real question is then, how do I discern what my emotional authority is? And how do I stop confusing it with my thoughts? The emotional wave in you is tribal, which means it's going to ratchet up as you get more and more excited. It's going to ratchet down as you get more and more grumpy. You know, it's always going to be in motion. The emotional field is always in motion. The ratcheting up wave will always be in you. The nervousness that's in your stomach, more or less, will always be there as a background. The information you get is the information through your own processing of your feelings, how you feel about this, how you feel about that, how the feeling changes. So when you're thinking about the difference between that and thoughts, I mean, from the information you've given me, you have an openness in terms of the mental framework, and thoughts will come and go. All I know about the chart, because I don't have your full chart, is that the 24th gate is there, 4 and the 4 are there. So there will be this recurring thoughts happening and this interest in mystical information, you know, what's behind the pattern, and the analytical 4, looking for the formula, looking for the answer for a better future. So the thoughts will come and go, but they're not necessarily feeling thoughts. There's no abstract from what I can gather in your chart. So the emotional side will be in terms of your power, your feeling connected to your will, your supportive nature, your love of those people in your tribe, whether that be family or the acquaintances and friends that you have around you. That is your authority. Do I feel to get involved or not? And giving yourself time to process. Now, the thoughts in spoken language come through the channel of awakening. The channel of awakening is really the 10th gate speaking. You know, you'll take very personally what it is that you say when you speak from your truth. You know, when you share some of your poetry, you share some of your uniqueness of expression in the 20th gate. And not everyone's going to get it, you know, and it's like, oh, if they don't appreciate my my words, if they don't appreciate my humor, then they really, don't get me. And I'm not worth anything. It can turn into that. So they're both very beautiful channels in their own way, but they are very different. The speaking of your knowing is one thing. The feeling through the ratcheting wave is the other. So you may speak something about something you're going to do when in fact the feeling isn't behind it. So you have to wait. It's not for individuals to always share what is going on with them. So you've really got to see your chart as it is, as a split definition between the feeling and the will. Do I want to deliver to these people? Do I love them? Do I want to support them in this way or that? On the other side, you have the two and the one, a very individual sense of identity, creative in you, and creative expression with your own taste in the 16. Some things you're enthusiastic about, some things you're not enthusiastic about at all. Very different, very, very different to the feeling. So it's important for you to understand that you must come back to the feeling over time, waiting for that clarity, that emotional clarity of, do I want to be involved or not? It's feeling, the ups and downs of the feeling. That is the difference. Very different to creative and individual expression. So one of the biggest things for you is to basically become more patient, see that time is for you. It's not that you're going to miss out on anything. It's about you being clear emotionally in making a decision that will take you into action, that will move you in your life. That's how you tell. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for the question. And let's move on to our next question. And the next question from Lutzila. What do you do if you are responding as a generator to bad things? Alcohol, cigarettes, junk food, scrolling, etc. Well, that is a good question, because you've got to understand that there are lots and lots of chemicals out there. There are lots and lots of foods out there that are made to be addictive. You think you're responding to it, but basically it is this emptiness to have more of whatever it is, whether it's sugar or whether it's the cigarettes or whatever it may be. So it's not really a response, it's a habit. It's a chemical habit. Now, how do you get through that? A certain amount of energy is going to be needed to see that you're poisoning yourself and to take action on it. When you are clean, when you've been on a juice fast, or you've been on a dry fast, or you've been in the sauna a lot and you've done lots of exercise and you're feeling clean and you're feeling healthy, there isn't going to be the same response towards the poisonous foods. It's not a response, it's a chemical trap that you've got yourself into. And it's not easy to break it. It's not easy to break it. Your body is out of order when it comes to certain things. And you can either go along with it and wait for that time when the energy is there to really clean up, or not. There will be an ongoing detrimental effect if you're eating junk food, obviously. But then I found that over time, many people get to the point where they really get it and they really don't want to do it anymore, and they rebel against that, and then they go on this cleaning out. Now that can happen through a response, the response for life, the response for life. So to answer your question, I would say that your body isn't responding to junk food. Now, if you're hungry, if you're out in the mountains somewhere, and you're running out of energy, and there's some food there and it's not the best food for you, but it's food, then the body will respond and go, I've just got to take this. I need nutrients right now. So I point you to discerning in your response to what is a true response and what is a conditioned reaction to keep chasing the same things that you know are not good for you. And that's a matter of experimentation. So it's not easy to break the habit with junk food because of the chemicals they put in there to really draw us out. And they've done their tests. They know what can really pull a human being along, and they keep wanting more and more. It's a huge game that's played not only with food, but with pharmaceuticals, with TV, as you say, with scrolling and all kinds of things. We're in multiple traps, and getting out of them is not easy. And human design is one of those tools that will help you to move through that. But you've got to continue the experiment. At some point, there is likely to be this gap where you can break the habits, and you've got a bit of time to clean the body up, and then you will see what a real response is towards food or not. Everything changes. So you really just have to wait for that. But don't think that responding is a matter of taking in things that are bad for you. I would call that a habitual entrainment. But good question. Thank you for the question. And I think it'll make a lot of people think about how they are living as well. So good. Thanks. Our next question is from Daniela. Hello, Richard. I have a question about gates that are negatively triggered. I have gate 52.2, which is only activated in detriment in my chart. In my partner's chart, in the same gate, gate 6, but it is activated on both conscious and unconscious, both only in detriment. Now, I would like to know, does this mean that these gates will always be lived only in detriment, or is there a way to live them differently? Well, good question, and I have approached detriments before in other videos, but let's look at yours as in this case. So here I've put up a slide of gate 52, keeping still the mountain. So this is the only passive pressure in the root. The root is there for adrenal energy to, do things because you have to, because it's urgent. It's there to keep you alive in emergencies. And here we have this energy that goes, just be still. Just pause. Just stop. There is nothing to do right now. In your case, in the detriment, in the second line, it is a selfish and abrupt pause that may engender others unnecessarily. The pressure to selfishly restrain energy at the expense of others. And you can see it has Mars in it. So there is this, fiery energy, this immature energy that perhaps, won't do anything, won't say anything. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to take part in whatever it is. So it is fixed in detriment. And if you look back in your life, you'll see those times when you haven't jumped in when it's necessary or whatever. You haven't done it, and that's the detriment. If we look on the other side, we see the pause that is initiated to benefit others, the pressure to restrain energy for the benefit of others. Now, that knowing that that is the exaltation, to think about what that can mean for you. Let's say you're teaching someone something and they're not getting it, or they're misunderstanding it, or they're arguing with you. The detriment would be, okay, I'm not going to take it any further. I'm just not going to deal with these people. The exaltation is to pause, to speak emphatically, to make contact with them, to really have that energy to be able to connect, to be able to bring them a focus. You've got it fixed in detriment. You can't change that, but you can know that it's there. So when you see yourself not getting involved, and it's urgent that you do, now you know this, you can see the other side. There can be a pause. If you're going to try and get some information across to someone, sometimes a pause and then a statement, and making contact with them, and then another statement. Sometimes a pause before you say something really makes it go in much further. You know, if you have that focus in that moment. So you'll have to see how that plays out. But knowing that you have it in detriment, this is why the detriments are in white and not in black. That is the propensity. That doesn't mean it cannot flip when you're aware of that. If you become aware of it in the moment of communication, or in the moment of moving or not moving. You know, when you see everything else going on around you and there's this energy that I'm not going to do it, no way am I going to go into that, you can see that's a detriment in you. What would be the positive of this? I'm not saying you are controlled by your mind. Again, it's a matter of your inner authority. But to notice these things, to notice them. And your husband has it in the 6th line, which actually in detriment isn't bad at all. The delusion is called peacefulness. Delusion as a substitute for genuine tranquility. Given the positive nature of this position, the delusion may be just as effective as the real thing, where the pacification of the energy is extreme. Pressure, real or imagined, does not disturb the stillness. And the exaltation, a harmonic and balanced attunement that is at ease regardless of the situation, the lack of pressure in times of stillness. So if we look at this aspect of him in the 6th line, the 6th line can be detached. The 6th line can be aloof. The 6th line that wants to be still will cut themselves off from what's going on around them. And that would be the detriment. It's still going to feel pretty good in that, well, I'm fine by myself. I'm fine in my own tranquility, when the situation around may need to be addressed in some way or other. So putting the two of you together, you know, when your detriment is like, you know, I'm not going to get involved, and your husband's detriment is, well, okay, you know, it's fine. I think it goes quite well, I must say. So can you flip them? The main thing is to become aware of when it's taking place in the now. And once you become aware of a detriment, then it doesn't catch you so much. You know, if you know that there are certain ways that you're going to behave and you catch yourself in that behavior, you can see that it's a detriment. And there may then be that extra awareness that will take you not to comply with that propensity. The only thing I can say to you is bring more awareness to it. The detriments are those things that we really have to get a grip on in this life. Otherwise, they will run the life, and they will always run the life. But if you become aware of them, if you get a grip on them, if you realize, well, I am like that, and it's not, you know, a good thing in all circumstances, and you catch yourself in it, well, then something can be done about it. Human design knowledge, it's like a tool. You can use it or not. But if you use it, if you're shown what to be aware of, what is in you, then there's always this chance of transformation. There's always this chance to move beyond the traps that you have within you and to keep you operating in a negative way. You know, human design gives us the opportunity to see what's in us and what is fixed in us, both in exaltation and in detriment. Where the detriment is there, this is going to be an ongoing propensity. Being aware of it, when you catch yourself in the moment, something may well be able to be done. But you need the awareness, which is why human design is such a brilliant tool. So I hope that answered your question. Remember, the detriments are white. There is this, if you know about it, you can get to grips with it. If you don't know about it, you'll never see it. You'll never get to grips with it. All right. Well, thank you all for your questions. That was a very wide range and quite an analytical session we had today. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back again very soon with something completely different. See you then. Bye for now.